a lot to get to, including more movement in the transfer portal, which I don't think is incredibly surprising, Caleb. And as we start to break down what the SEC has done, I don't think it's hardly a surprise before we get to Tennessee's class that Ole Miss brought in a couple of transfers. That's the way Lane Kiffin wants to build that program for now. And I don't know that he has a bunch of choice because I don't know that Ole Miss can compete with the upper echelon of the SEC. So I think it's going to be have to be transfer portal and see what happens. So for now, Ole Miss picks up two defensive backs that are entering the portal: sophomore Tashim Johnson and freshman Davison Igawasuin. I did the best I could. That's according to Max Olson of The Athletic. But when we start to look at what Tennessee has done, I wanted to break down the commitments that Tennessee has and the transfers and the signees and the enrollees and all that good stuff. So we've got a firm grasp now as people can still transfer in theoretically. But the way it works is you can't enter the portal anymore. So, in other words, pretty slim pickings from this point forward. Good morning, Caleb. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing today, Dave?
I'm well. But your thoughts on what Tennessee in general, before we start to break down each player, picked up in the transfer portal? What did you think?
I thought they did what they needed to do. We're seeing that Josh Heupel really focuses on addressing needs in the transfer portal more than anything else. He did that particularly on the offensive line with Andre Carrick and John Campbell. I'm sure they're going to have competition there. Obviously, the flashy pick was the Oregon transfer wide receiver. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. Oregon transfer wide receiver Dante Thornton. I think that was really the big standout. That's like I said, that's Dante Thornton going to Tennessee's offense is, for you Harry Potter fans, is if Voldemort could have ever gotten the Elder Wand to work for him. it's like
You
it's like
realize what that means, but you did use a Kevin Durant
yes.
comparison that made a lot of sense.
Yes, it's Kevin Durant going to join the already insanely efficient Golden State offense. And so obviously that is the splashy pickup. I think I don't think Tennessee's done in the portal. And what I mean is, there's two Ole Miss DBs you mentioned that entered the portal. I think there's a chance Tennessee might go for one of them, if I'm going to be honest. Dave, you and I both know there's no way Tennessee and Josh Heupel can be satisfied with their secondary right now, even with this recruiting class coming in. They need help. That's where they need the most help badly.
No, I agree. Let's take a look at the transfers that are coming in. And again, Tennessee, just because the portal's closed, it doesn't mean they can't pick up more guys. But at this point, you would think this is pretty much your list because all of these guys have been culled through. So
breaking news, Tennessee picked up a transfer cornerback from BYU as we're doing the show right now.
Okay. Tell us more about him.
Gabe Jeudy-Lally, he he entered the portal last month. It was his second consecutive offseason from the portal, entering the portal. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. He had taken visits to Baylor and UCLA. Looks like so that's Tennessee's second transfer portal pickup, because remember they picked up a linebacker, Keenan Peely. He started before BYU last year. He actually started at Vanderbilt in 2021. So he's gone from Vanderbilt to BYU to back to the SEC to Tennessee. I don't know if that's a red flag, but he has started in the SEC, and so looks like Josh Heupel has focused on beefing up the secondary. Yeah, this happened literally as we were getting the show off the ground this morning with their technical issues.
I don't necessarily think that it's a red flag anymore when a guy transfers multiple times. That used to be a really big red flag. You want to go before that, red flag was going to junior college, but I believe we're past that point. I think it's just part of business. So, it'd be be two total transfers from Vanderbilt to BYU and then BYU to Tennessee. I don't think that's a red flag any longer. I did for a long time, but I don't think that's a red flag. Now, as far as transfers coming in that we have a better grasp on since that just happened, let me run through them and hear what I'll tell you what I'm hearing. John Campbell, I think he's got a long ways to go before he plays for Tennessee. We'll see. Omar Norman Lott. John Campbell, by the way, was the offensive lineman from Maryland. Then you have Omar Norman Lott, 6'2", 295 pounds, defensive lineman. I have every reason to think that he could be in the rotation. Dante Thornton, who you mentioned is the flashy one, the wide receiver who adds to a group that already has Squirrel White, already has Ramel Keaton and Brew McCoy. So the rich get richer at that position. Keenan Pill is one that I think is a little underestimated by some Tennessee fans. I think he's a good Mike linebacker that can get the job done. He's going to know where he is supposed to be. Is he going to go sideline to sideline? Probably not. I hear great things about Andre Carrig, the offensive lineman. I think he's going to be a player. Charles Campbell, at 5'9", 175 pounds, a kicker. Goodness knows the Cowboys proved on Monday night you could always use another kicker, and he's able to step in there. And then McCallan Castles, I believe, was the very first transfer, a tight end out of California. And McCallan Castles is a guy that you would expect to step in and play right away, as much as they use two tight ends. And in case you didn't notice during the season, it was either Jacob Warren or Princeton Fant in the game. So they were sort of co-starters. And I think McCallan Castles is expected to step in there. Now, you might see Warren be a bigger part of the offense like Princeton Fant was, kind of an elevation. And that's part of the reason why he came back, I would imagine. But with Castles, you need a guy that's going to be able to step in and play those valuable drives and snaps because they don't want to sub from one guy to another because it slows down the tempo. So McCallan Castles, I think, is a significant pickup. If I had to rate them in terms of will play, won't play, based off what I've heard, I would say Carrick number one will be an impact player. I think Dante Thornton and Keenan Pill, for totally different reasons, I would kind of have tied at second in that regard. And then McCallan Castles absolutely has to play. So we're going to be talking Vols throughout the program and the SEC portal and what's going on. And we encourage you to hit that like button, thumbs up. It helps us bring much more into the fold in terms of our audience, and we appreciate that. And be sure and support our advertisers. Speaking of Zach England of Best and Brock, Zach's got your back. Zach England of Best and Brock is phenomenal when it comes to standing toe to toe with the insurance company attorneys that don't want you to get what you're supposed to get. So that's Zach England, Best and Brock. Zach's got your back, personal injury attorney in Chattanooga that will take care of you. So, what are your thoughts on the group that Tennessee brings in through the transfer portal? Who stands out to you? Who do you have question marks about? Your thoughts, Caleb?
So I'm with you on McCallan Castles. He is one that he fills a void that has to be filled, particularly with Miles Campbell now having transferred. I think Miles Campbell found his new destination yesterday, by the way. But that I guess you would call it tight end H-back position, maybe, because it's kind of like a mixture of both. I think McCallan Castles is a better fit for that than Jacob Warren, who seems more like the goal line tight end. Jacob Warren seems like more like the bigger target when you get inside the red zone and the blocking tight end. So you're right. He fills a direct need. Omar Norman Lott is going to be in the rotation. I don't know if he's going to start, but I know that he's going to be in the rotation. I'm pretty sure on the defensive line. Dante Thornton, it's not that Tennessee needed him, but God, I don't know what his stats are going to look like next year, but that's just a scary, scary situation. Thornton in Tennessee's offense is 6'5" slot guy. That's the craziest thing still to me that Tennessee was able to get him, but I understand why he went. Keenan Peely, I'm with you. Probably not a sideline to sideline guy. You're probably right, but I think what I saw from Tim Banks this year with his scheming, he likes to do a lot of different blitz packages, and isn't it a lot more north-south running for the linebackers than it is sideline to sideline? I didn't really see Jeremy Banks move laterally that much this past year.
I mean, it's always nice to be able to flip your hips and be able to get sideline to sideline, but I agree. It's a vertical defense, so I don't think that's as much as an issue. I think Peely will step in and be the guy who's kind of like the mainstay run stopper that you've got.